Senator Rick Scott, how are you, sir?
I'm great. It's great to be with you.
Senator, you dared to challenge Mitch McConnell, and he looks like he's just trying to ruin you. He can't, but he's trying. I hear that he wants to find a Republican opponent to challenge you as the Republican primary for Senate, should you not run for president. He throws you and Lee off the Commerce Committee by text. He's the one that voted for the $1.7 trillion omnibus monstrous bill and put the House Republicans in a terrible position. He worked with Schumer and Pelosi and Biden.
Right. And they could have waited 2 weeks, Mark. They could have waited 2 weeks. And then guess what? McCarthy would have written the bill. I mean, that's what's crazy about this.
Yes.
Mark, here's what's crazy. I thought the way the Constitution worked, I was supposed to come up here and represent my state. So if you do what you told the voters in your state you're going to do, and you represent your state, somehow you're doing the wrong thing. And they want you to become part of the establishment. It means sit down, shut up, they'll tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm. And he makes comments. You know, he goes in front of a bridge with his buddy Joe Biden, this monstrous bill. They all got together. And then he takes an opportunity, and they talk about cutting Social Security and Medicare, to trash you. That was Rick's guy. Says it 3 times. Meanwhile, Biden in 1995 said it over and over and over and over again. You haven't asked to cut Social Security and Medicare. I heard what you said.
I know. So I tell everybody, go to rescueamerica.com. Here's what I said. Let's preserve the programs. I said Congress ought to tell you, the American public, how they're going to save Medicare and Social Security since they're going bankrupt. And everybody that keeps voting for this massive spending increases the chance they're going to go bankrupt. And so they said, well, you said you would sunset programs. I said you should review every program and get rid of things that don't make sense. Guess what? We do the National Defense Authorization Act every year. That means if you don't vote to have 100-year funding for the Defense Department, you must be wanting to cut all of our defense. I mean, that's how illogical these people are. But yeah, I mean, McConnell kicked me off. He kicked me off Commerce. He kicked Mike Lee off Commerce. So, but here's what I tell people, and Mike Lee's in the same position. We didn't come up here to work for the establishment. We're not going to ever be establishment people. We're going to be up here representing our states, and we're going to bring fiscal sanity to America. This idea that you saw the CBO score today. At the path we're going down, in 10 years, we'll have $52 trillion worth of debt. Now, tell me how in God's green earth we're going to pay the interest on that. But they don't care. They don't care because they just want to spend money.
And the other thing you did, that you're not allowed to do, is you put together a platform that you felt Republicans, if they chose to, can run on because Mitch McConnell provided no platform whatsoever.
No, they said, we're not going to have a platform. That's what he said. He said, we're not going to have a platform. We're just going to talk about how bad the Democrats are. Look, I'm a business guy. Okay, I ran for governor. First job political job I ran for. I told people what I was going to do. I said, I'm going to get you 700,000 jobs over 7 years, and these are the 7 steps I'm going to use to do it. And guess what? I got elected because I had a plan. Right? We should tell the public exactly what we're going to do. And guess what? There's people out in the public that are going to give us even better ideas, but they're not going to give them to us if we don't put out our ideas first.
I think bipartisanship for the cause of American bankruptcy is not a good idea. And he put these Republicans in the House in a horrific position. He knew exactly what he was doing. It's never been done before, Senator. You've never had a Republican leader work with the Democrat leader and the Democrat speaker push through legislation on a lame duck Democrat, radical Democrat majority in the House, and other Republicans in the House are trying to pull some of this back, and he sits there like he didn't have any handiwork in this. It's all his handiwork.
They gave it to us at 1:30 in the morning on a Tuesday right before Christmas. They scheduled it so everybody wants to go home, 3 times the size of the Bible, 7,500 earmarks. So think about it. You never read it. Nobody read it. Okay? But it's negotiated by Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer, and they cram it down our throat, and they get Republicans to vote for it. We got to stop this stuff. We got to stop caving. We all balance our budgets. We have to. We can't just say, hey, bank, we just roll over all my debt. But they think that America can keep doing this, and there's no repercussions. Look at the inflation we have. Look at what has happened in interest rates. Go try to buy a home. Almost 7% mortgage rates now for a 30-year mortgage. Look at your credit card interest rate. But look at look at eggs. Look at bacon. Look at cars, and look at all this stuff. The price of things. If you're a young person, you can't even get started. The houses are so expensive. Plus, with these mortgage rates, but they don't care. What they care about up here is their elections. They think if they just throw more money at everything, everybody will elect them. Well, guess what? You're hurting the poorest families who can't afford this. I grew up in public housing. I watched my mom struggle with inflation. That's what they're doing to people again. These people, their wages are not staying up with inflation, and they're hurting the poorest families. Rich are going to be fine. They're getting richer all the time. Wall Street makes money off all this. The D.C. bureaucrats make money. But you, the taxpayer, you get inflation, you get higher interest rates. How fair is that?
What do you make of the fact, Senator Rick Scott, that he can't even tolerate a handful of voices challenging him in the Senate? We used to say Republicans were at least fiscally responsible. Maybe they're not on this, on social, but they're not. And I think that's what frustrates people. We send people to Washington. It's the same leadership in the Senate for 20 damn years, which is, I assume, why you were challenging him.
Well, why don't we run this to do this thing? Why don't we govern the way we campaign? We campaign as Republicans for being fiscal responsible, right? We campaign that we're going to secure the border. We campaign that we're not going to do earmarks. We campaign on all these things. We ought to do that. We ought to do. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to fight like hell. And by the way, it takes our votes to pass legislation. They have to get 60 votes. So last year they needed 10 of us. This year they need 9 of us. So I tell everybody, look, if you have better ideas, if you have a better plan, let's all fight over the best ideas. But let's do what we said when we ran. When in my next election, I have a plan. This is what I'm running on. And maybe somebody will come up with a better idea and say, if it's a better idea, I'm going to change my plan. But I'm going to fight for something. This is crazy. Just come up here. I'm a senator now. I'll just keep spending money. Maybe you'll like me. No, I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to get the country in the right direction.
Now, Senator Scott, I think one of the good things is you didn't start as a senator. As you say, a very successful businessman, a very successful governor. You've been an executive, and you come into this body and you watch it and say, wait. We got a Ponzi scheme going on here. We got to start the process slowly but surely, at least, in addressing this. And McConnell, he doesn't like, you're an upstart. He doesn't like it. Yeah, what's this backbencher doing here in the Senate telling me what to do? This is what frustrates people like me.
Well, think about it. There's no Medicare trust fund. You would think, like in state budgets, you have for your pension plan, you have money in the bank. We don't have money in the bank for Medicare. We don't have money in the bank for Social Security. We have an IOU from the federal government. That's what we've got.
They already stole the money, and they stole it out of the Highway Trust Fund. Senator Rick Scott for Whoopi Goldberg, a.k.a. her name is Karen. He's the white Senator Scott. Tim Scott is the African-American.
Is it hard to believe, Mark?
She's a liar. Anyway, a new poll the Federalist has from Monmouth shows that while 23% of GOP voters, Senator, find McConnell favorable, 53% of conservative constituents see him in an unfavorable light. And so here's his problem. His negatives are higher than George Santos's negatives. He is the least liked Republican in the country. And this isn't the only survey to show this. There was a survey done among Republicans only. It wasn't even a close call. He's the least liked Republican. And yet he's the Republican leader of the Senate. It just seems screwy to me, Senator.
Well, the way the Senate works is that, it's a seniority-based system. They expect you. They really do expect you just to come up and listen to what they have to say because they've got more seniority than you. It doesn't matter that, I ran one of the biggest companies in the country, but that didn't matter. So that's just how the system works. But it's going to change. I think it's all up to the American public. Here's what I tell people: have high standards for who you elect. hold them accountable. Don't just say, hey, Johnny May gave a great speech, let's make him something. Say, what's your background? Have you had success? And then if they don't do their job, what are you reelecting them for? And so I think the American public wants ideas. They want somebody that is going to do exactly what they said when they campaigned. They expect fiscal responsibility out of Republicans. They don't want us to waste money. And think about it. We caved in on the infrastructure bill, which had very little to do with roads, bridges, airports, and seaports. There was a CHIPS bill that was supposed to be anti-China, but Intel Corporation said, "Hey, they're going to get $4 billion. They're going to get $1 billion tax credit, $4 billion tax write-off. They're going to keep doing business in China, and no different. And if China invades Taiwan, no change. Not very anti-China. Then the omnibus bill. So you look at these things, and none of those could have passed without Republicans voting for it. And we've got to do exactly what we said we were going to do when we ran. And that's what I'm committed to do. And I think things are going to change. But it's up to the American public.
Look, I've been on radio 20 years, and I've been involved in watching these things and participating in them since I was 13 years old. You are the only one who has effectively taken on McConnell and even run against the man. And this is what he's furious about, trying to teach everybody a lesson through you. That you challenge me, this is what's going to happen. But I want you to know something. You've had an impact. I have 14.5 million listeners. You've had an impact. You've had an impact on what's going on in the Senate. You've opened a lot of people's eyes. It's very, very important what you've done here, Senator, and I want to thank you for it.
Well, I'm not going to stop. I appreciate your support, but I'm not going to stop. This country is worth fighting for. There is no place to move. If we don't change the direction of this country, if we don't have fiscal responsibility, then all the opportunities that we believe in for every child in this country will go away.
All right, Senator. Thank you for your time. Take care of yourself.
All right. See you, Mark. Bye-bye.
All right. God bless.